Hi everyone. Hi. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by and for hanging out with me today. I am incredibly excited for this video. It's been a long time coming. I've been working on it for quite a while, but here we are with the long-awaited color story challenge using the Shroud Cosmetics Arcana palette. Woo. So as usual, before we dive into the 7 looks that I created using this palette, I wanted to give you some thoughts and background information on this brand since it is an indie brand and a lot of people haven't heard of it before, and I think that needs to change. I have all these little baby hairs and they don't want to stay in place today. They just kind of, you know, want to do their own thing. So we're just gonna let them do that. I gotta prepare myself. I gotta have a sip of coffee. It is the perfect coffee that I made at home. It's a pumpkin spice latte, but with my own flair. So I use pumpkin pie flavored syrup, and then I mix in a coffee creamer that tastes like pumpkin with cream. Yes, it's so good. I am excited for fall. It's here. Woohoo! There is no better way to start out fall than to do a 7-day color story challenge using the Arcana palette. And doesn't that scream fall to you? Like all the grungy colors. There's some jewel tones, of course, but there's a lot of grungy tones in here, and I think it is perfect for the fall. So if you're interested... Hi, Winnie. So if you're interested in learning more about Shroud Cosmetics and looking for inspiration for this palette, then stay tuned. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Em and you're watching Makeupry. If you like what you see today and you want to come back and hang out again in the future, I ask that you click that subscribe button. I have a goal to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so by you clicking that little subscribe button, that really helps me out and helps me to reach my goal. Anyway, let's dive in. So Shroud Cosmetics was formerly known as Strobe Cosmetics. They changed their name last year, fall 2019, and the quality and the eyeshadows and all of the products that they previously had under Strobe carried over to Shroud. The main difference is that the name and logo and some of the branding changed as a result. The brand owner's name is Chloe, and she is kind of a one-woman show, which I think is absolutely amazing. She created this brand, I think, when she was 16 years old, and has since grown it to a pretty great indie brand that has a pretty good clout on social media. I love supporting indie brands, and Shroud is a brand that I came across on Instagram several years ago now, and I remember seeing an ad or something for their sweater weather collection, and there was this deep burgundy shade that just stole my heart. The swatches they showed, I would say it's pretty similar to the burgundy maroon kind of shade that you see here called Enchantress. I was just like, yeah, I gotta have them. So I did a whole video on that if you're interested. The link is above and below. But anyway, I've been a fan of Shroud Cosmetics for quite a few years now, and I have to say they're probably one of my favorite indie brands that I've tried. What are you doing? Quick interlude. This is Winnie. She's my baby. Yeah, she doesn't like to be held, but I'm holding her up so you can see her. She's my little Torby. My little Torby girl. Yeah. I named her Winnie because, yeah. Yeah, because you like to whine. And you're purring at the same time, so she's my special girl, huh? Yeah. So when she changed the name to Shroud, the reason she gave was that the word shroud means to obscure from vision, and apparently she was born legally blind, so there was some personal meaning behind that. And she also liked the mystery and the intrigue that the word shroud implies. So I think that is so on brand for what they're about. They do a lot of collections that are kind of more mystical, mysterious, maybe witchy, kind of occult. So that completely fits their branding so well. So the theme of this palette is Arcana. For those of you who aren't aware what Arcana means, it's basically a mysterious or mystical reference. And with this palette, I think of not only just witchcraft, but I also think of like metallurgy and alchemy as well. And because all of those things kind of tie together, although they're not the same by any means, they definitely have overlaps and similar influences, which I think is cool. So the names of the looks that I created for this video will have references to those influences, which I hope you appreciate. I don't know, I always have fun naming things. This packaging is so beautiful. I love this embossing kind of texture here, and even the back, excuse the numbering system that I have, but even the back side has this beautiful imagery here. And then even inside, like, you get a full-size mirror, which is nice. It's a good mirror. Even just the packaging inside with the font and the little stars, those little details are lovely. I appreciate details, and it's just such a beautiful palette. When I saw it, I thought grungy tones, yellows, greens, those kinds of tones with other gem tones, jewel tones mixed in. Yes, I have to have it. So of course I signed up and purchased the whole PR package. So with this palette, you get 6 mattes, 4 metallics, and 2 shimmer shades. So there's this matte, this matte, this matte, this matte, this matte, and this matte. And then this is a shimmer. This one's a metallic. This one's a metallic. Shimmer, metallic, metallic. If you've been around for a while, you know I love greens. This grungy green shade here, it's almost like a blackened olive. It's so lovely. And then, of course, this stunning emerald shade. Look how that just shines on the finger, and you saw me, I just barely rubbed it and it came off with that pigment. And this matte shade is so soft and velvety. These blues are amazing too, like this smoky kind of ocean blue color, and of course this metallic sapphire. Look at those. They're so pretty. This smoky color can take on a life of its own. When you apply it next to a green, it takes on more of a green tone. Black, it takes on more of a kind of a very cool gray tone. It's so lovely. And then these reds are really fun. This ruby red burgundy shade and then this deep brick red are really nice too. And let's talk about this gold and this mustardy shade. So you should be able to tell I am wearing both the mustard and the gold on my lids today. Yes. One thing that Shroud does amazingly well is create beautiful, blendable, stunning metallic and shimmering shades. The names of these eyeshadows are really fun as well. So they go along with the Arcana kind of occult theme. So there's Sacred, Familiar, Shroud, Alchemy, Chalice, Entity, Nocturnal, Relic, Altar, Enchantress, Darkling, and Mystic. One thing I really like about this palette is that there's so many colors that pair really well together. This green doesn't absolutely have to go with the emerald. It could go with this mustard yellow or even maybe this more burnt orange shade if you want more of that grungy tone. It looks lovely with the gold. It even looks nice with the blue. Chloe did an amazing job with color pairings with this. They're unique enough that they kind of fit into this kind of interestingly weird palette, but it also is something that I find to be pretty wearable if you're not into these really bold, eccentric, out there looks. The only thing about this palette that I would caution you about is that it definitely doesn't have any really light shades. So for me, I had to pull from other palettes or single eyeshadows to have a high brow bone highlight or a blend out color such as a cream shade or even a lighter maybe taupe color, but I don't think that is necessarily a deterrent from purchasing this palette because it is beautiful, and if you already have those shades, it's not that big of a deal to have to go grab them. Now, if I were to make any tweaks to this palette, it's hard to say because all these colors have a role to play in this palette, but maybe what I would do is add in kind of this lighter, maybe cream shade, just to ease into and have some lighter shades because this is otherwise a really dark palette. I love that this is so deep and dark, but I do think for it to be a complete palette, it needs that lighter shade because you already have a lot of depth here with this green and this blue. I might also even add a silver in here just because the jewel tones look really beautiful with silver. I like them with gold too, but I feel like If you're gonna go full on metallic, a silver could be really fun. But that's just me. I think on its own, it's stunning, it's beautiful, but those are some tweaks or maybe some additions that I would do. So if she were to come out with like a version 2, maybe some silvers and grays, or even some cream colors would be really beautiful as additions to this palette. Now in terms of quality and being able to blend this out and apply it, another thing to note with these matte shadows is that they perform best when they're applied to a dry or non-sticky base. The colors are going to cling to that and they're going to turn a little patchy and they're going to be tougher to blend out. I think it's because of the concentration of pigments in the shadows. While they are soft and creamy, there are higher concentrations of pigments in especially these deeper shades, which is to be expected. To make these kinds of deep shades like this without them being black, it takes a little extra pigmentation to make that work and for those colors to stay true to their form. And if you're like me, I definitely make mistakes in my makeup. What I tend to do is use a light eyeshadow to help blend it away or kind of erase it, as I call it. But with these deeper mattes especially, that isn't always possible because the pigment sticks more to your skin. It blends, but it definitely just, I don't know, there's something about the formula and the way that it lays on your skin that it makes it kind of challenging to move or remove some of that pigment without actually having to take it all off. If you're a beginner in makeup, this might be a challenging palette for you, particularly if you struggle with color matching and color theory. Some of these shades, let's say like this mustard yellow mixed in with, let's say, this deep stormy blue shade, you mix those together and it's going to turn muddy and kind of greenish brown. Because you're mixing a yellow and a blue, it's going to turn kind of a green shade. But sometimes with pigments, instead of actually just turning, you know, a green in the case that blue and yellow would, it can turn muddy. So you have to be careful when you use these shades next to each other and just making sure you take your time to blend and don't over blend, because that's when things get really muddy. So that's the only caveat to owning this palette, is that if you're a beginner, that could be something you struggle with. But otherwise, I think this is a very easy to use palette. The colors perform beautifully, they blend out nicely as long as you don't use a really sticky base. The metallics are lovely. You can apply them using a finger and or a brush. I applied the gold using a brush and it's just as pigmented as if I were to have used my finger. I didn't have to foil these eyeshadows so they're not fussy in that way, which is perfect. I feel like Shroud does an amazing job with their formula where it's not fussy and it's easy to use, which I'm all about easy, effortless makeup, and I think they do this really well. Alright, so the moment you've all been waiting for. Here are the 7 makeup looks using this, so let's get into it.
I woke from a dream. You can't swim without water. The stars calling me. I ran out to the night. I promise I will linger just a little longer. But I need to be free. The water comes from my eyes. The very last piece, your name is written on it, but you never believed in signs, just coincidence. I know they told you it's a one-way to the goal, but I dare you to see the gold glowing deep within. All alone, you're gonna hear the beat of your song. On your own, you're gonna see the signs for your growth. And as you go, you're gonna feel what's real and let go.
Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed all of these looks. They were so fun to create, and you know, I'm a lover of color. I love grungy tones. I especially love my greens, and this palette does not disappoint when it comes to color and having some options to play with. So I hope you found this video enjoyable, inspirational, helpful in some way. If you are interested in buying this palette or any other Shroud products, I'll have the link to their website below. I'm not sponsored. I have no affiliate links or anything like that. I'm just a lover of their products. And in true fashion, you guys get to choose what color story video you would like to see next. So both of these options are things that I plan to do regardless of which one you choose. But the one that you choose is the one I will do next. So the first option is the Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette, which I did a video on, and it was requested in the comments that I do a color story challenge with this. I really love the colors. The mattes are, yes, Too Faced really shines with their mattes from this palette. So let me know if you want to see that one next, or this one's kind of fun. If instead you would like to see a series with these e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow quads. So what I would do with this series is I would create a look using every single eyeshadow palette, because I have them all. So let me know which one you would prefer, the e.l.f. one or the pumpkin spice. Either way, I'm still going to do both. It's just you get to choose which one is absolutely next. Alrighty? That said, I hope you all have a wonderful and great rest of your day, and take care. Stay electric. Mwah. Bye.